Have a look at this data. So this is a sample from a telephone directory, and as you can see that there are many invalid values. So we see NA here we have not found, and here we have NAN, and similarly we have more instances of NAN, not found, and so on. These are all missing data. The only difference is that NAN is correctly identified as NAN or null values by Pandas, and this one is not correctly identified as null. This means that I will have a lot of difficulty if this data frame was, let's say, 2 million rows, because I won't be able to clean up this data frame. So my objective is to inform Panda that these are actually missing values. So that's what we are going to cover in this video. And towards the end of this video, I'm going to tell you one trick and you will be able to identify all the invalid values with one line of function, irrespective of the size. So let's get started. So first we know that, okay, this not found and NA, these are null values, right? So first step, let's see what Pandas has determined. So I'm going to call this df.isNull function. So there are many ways to visualize this. So for now, I'm simply going to call sum, and you can immediately see the number of null values it has identified. So phone number, it says that there are only 2 values, but we know that this is also null, this is also null, right? So you can use isNull or you can use isNA, both are actually going to return the same results, right? Anyway, so what I'm going to do, first step, let's use the replace method. So that's very easy, right? So I can either replace not found. Similarly, we can do that for NA. So what we can do is we can use a list instead. So we can send all the values that, okay, replace all these values with np.nn, and remember that this works only with data frame. This is not going to work with string, right? So if you want to replace certain possible values in a string with np.nn or none value, you cannot use a list, but it's Pandas, so we can use a list. So this is useful. So once you have loaded the data frame, you can do that, or the other way is you can do that when you are reading the CSV itself. So when you're reading the CSV, so let's call a read CSV, and this file is temp CSV. At this point, we can specify what are my NA values. In other words, what are the values that should be considered as null values, right? So you can do that, and if you have, let's say, if you want to consider 0 as null value, that also you can do here. Now you can see that all the values are correctly identified as null. Now once you have these values identified as null, the next step is you can get rid of these values. So simply call a drop NA function, and what drop NA will do, anywhere there is a null value, it's going to delete all those rows. So you can see that our data frame is clean. But there is one problem. The problem is that based on this data, because this data is about phone number, and in case of phone number, if there is a missing phone number, we definitely want to delete that. Look at this row. There is only age missing, and we don't want to delete a row just because an age is missing, right? We don't want to do that. So what we want to do, we want to delete all the rows where phone number is missing. If age is missing, fine, don't delete it, right? So this is data specific case. So what we can do is subset, and we can send as many column names as we want. So right now I'm just sending phone, and see the difference, this row has not been deleted. Okay, right? So this works fine. Now the bigger question, in this data, we were just able to look at the data and see that, okay, this is none, this is none. But what if your data is huge, right? So let's open a huge file, and here you can see that there are 2 million rows. So how do we identify all the invalid value for phone number, for example? Now here is the trick, which is the most important part of this video. Create a regular expression that matches the data you want to keep. Okay, not delete. Create a regular expression that matches the data you want to keep. So what are the things that you want to keep in a phone number? So obviously numbers, right? Numbers or digits. So replace all those digits with blank. Now this is confusing, right? So let me show you what I mean. So we'll take the phone number column. We are going to call the replace method, okay? And I'm using a simple regular expression, \d for matching digits and star for matching all the digits. replace with nothing. Okay, and also because we are going to use regex, we have to set regex as true. And if I execute, what it will do, it is going to replace all the phone number with empty, right? So you can see a preview here, everything is gone. But the good thing about Pandas, our DF has not been touched, it's still there. Okay, now once you have written this and you see that okay, all your data that you want to keep is gone, then you call the unique function. So what unique will do, it will show you all the possible values that are there which are invalid, right? Because valid data you have removed. And this is your golden list. So this is a list that you can use in your NA values function, right? So right now, before replacing, if I look for DF is null or is NA, and if I look for the sum, you will see that okay, phone number has 85,000 something null values and age has 42,000 null values. But if I take this, okay, and read this row again, read this data frame again from the CSV. So read CSV, phone directory of this big, and this time use these NA values. And of course, we don't need to mention NA and okay, and I'm going to read this. Okay, now my data frame is updated. Now let's check the null values. So is NA and sum. Now you see, our updated list has 199,000 null values for phone. So earlier we had only 85,000. Tell me in the comments whether you like this trick or not. I'll see you in the next one.